We welcome you to the Resilient Leaders Initiative celebration. We are so proud of our teams. We want to celebrate their dedication, their commitment, their hard work, and their achievement, right? And we also want to acknowledge the coaches, the facilitators, and the ROI staffs who really helped them along on this journey, right? So we're here to celebrate and hear from our wonderful teams. So we are going to get started. Again, welcome, and thank you for meeting us in this space. My name is Chandra. I am happy to be a part of this and welcome you here. This is our agenda. We're going to ground, we're going to hear from our teams, and we're going to really just show you and tell you all about the wonderful program that we just finished. But we're going to start with a resiliency tool. This is a rapid reset, right? We want to reset our nervous systems, bring our awareness into the present so we can be here together, connect, and celebrate. So we're going to do a tap side to side. So I want everyone to do it with me and I'll talk you through it, right? So we're going to cross our arms and we're going to just tap. And when I tap, I rock, but allow your body to do whatever it wants to do. You can tap fast, you can tap slow, you can have your own rhythm. There's some science behind that bilateral stimulation, right? That resets the nervous system. So about 20, 30 seconds of tapping and just notice whatever comes out, whatever positive or neutral sensations, right, in the body. By tapping, we can ground ourselves and reset our nervous systems. So we come into this space, being present, right, aware and ready for connection. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that grounding exercise. I hope that got us there. Yes. Let's get started. First, we're going to have Jonathan Santos Silva give us some remarks.
Well, it's good to be here with you all. Such a pleasure and an honor, as you said, to be here with all of the amazing teams and leaders in this Resilient Leaders Initiative over the last 9 months has been a learning and experience so valuable just for myself. And so to be able to be invited to share today with you as a keynote speaker is awesome. My work in this program is as a coach, but my full-time gig, I'm founder and CEO of the Liber Institute, an organization which exists to embolden and equip Indigenous young people, families, and educators to transform schools and the communities they serve. And while the communities and schools that I work with are Indigenous in many ways, there are themes that reverberate or resonate deeply across the work that I do in South Dakota and the work that is happening in Eastern North Carolina. The fact that so many of our young people and their families overcome so much every day to show up, to learn in our schools, or to partner with our organizations, to be in the pews on Sunday, to be in our churches. Like, there's just so many obstacles and challenges, and yet they continue to rise, they continue to contribute. And really it's the work of both our organizations and all of the teams here today to figure out how do we lean in to love more deeply and to better serve our communities, and so we can always show up as healthy and whole as we can. I have had the privilege to get to know all of the teams and all of the coaches, all of the expert facilitators, but my true blessing has been to work with the team at Spate Middle School. I have worked with Ms. Budd, Ms. Holmes, and Mr. Sutton over the last 9 months and gotten to see, as closely as you can in the virtual realm, how someone leads in turbulent times. As many of you know from personal experience, COVID has changed the way we do our work, it's changed the way we do school, and it's changed the way we interact. The things that we might normally provide to young people in a setting like Spate, the hugs, the close encounters, that support, are the things that put us most in danger. And so being able to support them and see the way that they have evolved their work and their strategies and tactics to not only meet the needs of students in these uncertain times, but to really be leaders as the demographics of their community shift has been phenomenal. As you may or may not know, Spate has for a long time served a population that's largely white and Black with a growing Latinx population. But, over the 9 months, one of the things in leaning in and learning deeply, they realized that that subgroup of Latinx students has actually become the largest group. And as they continue to grow, unfortunately, because of a number of reasons, the supports in place have dwindled. And so it really has put the burden on our educators, in this case, to be innovators, to be thought provokers, to remain curious, and to lead creatively. And so that's what I've learned so much from them in this process. For me, our work, like I said, based in South Dakota on the reservation communities, we focus our work, or our work really what differentiates it from other organizations is that we don't work in isolation. We work inside and alongside communities. And there's a Lakota principle, which is Mitakuye Owasi, which is that we're all related. It's very similar. It echoes the West African concept of Ubuntu, right? That, I am because we are, this idea that the struggles that young people show up with on the reservation of South Dakota are connected not only to the principal, the educators, and the families that in that community, but they're also quite similar to the challenges that Ms. Budd, Ms. Holmes, and Mr. Sutton are encountering thousands of miles away. And so not only is it about leaning into our work with our schools and learning from the people we serve, but it was also such a beautiful opportunity to engage across state lines and learn from just master educators, also the leaders from the church organizations in our cohort, and even in the court system, just learning from like as I said earlier, the curiosity, creativity, and leadership of these visionary leaders. The second piece of what we do there is leaning into culture and believing that the culture, the identity, the history of our communities is not something to be overcome, but rather an asset to be tapped. As we are learning, as we think about this resilience work and trauma healing work, that culture heals. And as we seek to do this work with the wounded ones, right, the young people and families that are dealing with so much, the more we can tap into who they are, their identity, their history, their culture, and their values, the more likely we are to aid them in their healing. Our organization is called the Liber Institute, and we use this elephant as our logo. And so by way of, my keynote message, the message I hope that will send you into the presentations today to learn from these leaders, it revolves around the concept of our name and our logo. So the word Liber comes from, or it appears both in Greek and in Roman, and it means the free one. It refers to a god, a lesser known god in the mythology. And so that word, although I identify as a Christian and a believer in one God, I identify with that word because I feel like my personal journey has been a constant journey to be free from the negative biases and stereotypes that others would seek to place on me, much like our young people who go to school every day and maybe have to deal with the scourge of low expectations sometimes, or our returning citizens who have to confront the low expectations that we have for them and their ability to contribute. And so I took that name as a way to remind me that this journey to liberation, this journey to freedom is an ongoing journey. And the elephant, how the elephant shows up is simple. We work, as I said, with indigenous communities, but I was very intentional. I did not want to appropriate imagery or words that didn't belong to me. I didn't want to be to appear as someone trying to present myself as an indigenous leader when that's not my identity. And so as I struggled to think of what would that imagery be, what would the symbolism be, I remembered a story I was once told about how you would domesticate elephants. So as we all know, elephants are weighing at over 2 tons. They're probably the strongest land animal. And so the way that you would domesticate an elephant is you would capture the young and to separate her from her parent, her mother, and chain her up. And the young elephant's desire to be free, the instinct to be free would push it to try to pull itself away. And over time, that chain would cause chafing and pain, but it would reinforce for the elephant that she was no longer free. And over time, it would become easier to train the elephant to carry heavy weights, to journey people across long distances, to do whatever it was you'd need from a domesticated elephant. And apart from a couple of times a year when elephants will make their primal call and gather, you really didn't have to worry too much about a domestic elephant trying to break free. Even so much so that a grown, full-strength elephant, all you need to do is tie it with rope to like a sapling, and just the feeling of resistance would remind the elephant, I'm not free, and she would stay in there. And why I use that image, why I invoke that image, is because for me, it is a powerful metaphor for the untapped power of our communities. You know, there's a saying, right? People say, oh, the elephant in the room, right? It usually means the difficult conversation that nobody is willing to have. And I believe that the elephant is in the room is that our communities are powerful elephants. We have been over generations convinced that we don't have the power that we really have, that we are waiting for someone else to give us the blueprint, the solutions that we already possess. And so it is the work of the Liber Institute, and I believe the work of ROI every day is in awakening the elephants that reside within. And so as we go into our presentations today, I want you to hold that image in tension, that these 4 teams are beginning to awaken the elephant within them, the power that they have to reimagine the communities that are healthier, stronger, and more whole because they're committed to resilient leadership. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. That was wonderful and inspiring. Thank you. Next up, we're going to have Vici, and she's going to tell us all about the Resilient Leaders Initiative.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank y'all for having me. My screen share showing up? It is?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. Let me try it again. Sweet. Gotta love it. So yeah, just for those who don't know me, my name is Vici Jagannathan, one of the co-founders of Rural Opportunity Institute. We are sort of running the Resilient Leaders Initiative, and just wanted to say thanks to everyone who chose to get on today. You know, I know stuff is busy, and you know, we're on Zoom a lot of the time, but we're just super excited for you all to hear from the different community leaders and the amazing work they've done. And hopefully out of this initial conversation, maybe you'll hear something that you want to get involved in or make a connection with somebody. So this is hopefully the start of a conversation. And we're just really interested in ways that anybody on this call can continue to kind of get involved and support the teams in their work. So I'm just going to share like a little quick overview of what this program is, just for anyone who doesn't have context, and then you will mostly hear from the teams themselves in terms of what they're working on and what they've learned. So this program was a 9-month program. So we started in March, and the idea was to support various local organizations in the Nash, Edgecombe, Wilson, sort of Eastern North Carolina region around designing and testing out different trauma-informed solutions in their contexts. And so in designing this program, or kind of coming up with the idea, we looked around kind of all over the country at different models for how you build the capacity of organizations to, you know, design and pilot and test new ideas. And when we looked at all these things, what we realized is that most of these programs are located in urban places. And that may not come as much of a surprise, but what we often see in terms of technology and innovation is that these processes start in urban places, and then, you know, rural places are expected to go to those places to learn. And a lot of times when we try to retrofit the solutions coming from urban places, they don't quite work, or we have to do a lot of adaptations. And so when we thought about Edgecombe and Eastern North Carolina, our thought process has always been that, like, we know our community has a ton of assets. And what would it look like if we poured even a fraction of the resources that go into urban places into leaders here? Like, what types of new insights and innovation could come out of that? And so the Resilient Leaders Initiative is an attempt to do that. It's the first accelerator program that is rooted in a rural community, that focuses on longstanding public institutions, and that explicitly addresses historical trauma as a cause of a lot of the outcomes we see. So we're excited for you to hear today about the outcomes of attempting to do this program. In terms of kind of where the idea came from, for those who don't know, we have been doing grassroots community work here for about 4 years. And in 2017, a lot of the people that are on this call, as well as other people in our community, went through a 9-month systems mapping process to try to understand like how it is that we could shift away from punishment and towards a more trauma-informed community. And what came out of that was this 3-part strategy, where folks named that they wanted to see people and organizations learning about trauma and how to respond, piloting new practices that shift away from punishment towards healing, and then helping folks as they're on the pathway towards healing, stay connected to opportunities for school, work, wealth building, leadership, with the vision that long-term people who've experienced trauma and healed would then be in the position to provide healing for others. And so the goal of this program has been kind of how do we take this strategy and embed it into various different institutions and organizations that have been serving our community for a long time. And a lot of the people on this call are essentially embodying some of this strategy in terms of sort of stepping into the position of being healers and supporting others to do the same. And so what all the teams did was basically go through this 9-month process that is sort of summarized in this diagram, where they started out by understanding like the experience of their users, building empathy, trying to figure out like what are possible opportunities where we might be able to try something that could shift away from punishment and towards a more healing practice. And so you'll hear more about sort of like who everybody engaged with and what that looked like in each organization. But after doing that, they kind of identified a certain area of opportunity and then brainstormed like as many ideas as possible about what are the different ways we could address this problem. They brainstormed with experts, they brainstormed with people that they serve, they brainstormed with their staff, and then narrowed in on a few ideas that felt especially promising. And then what they did was something that we like to call little bets, but basically like small ways of testing each of those ideas to then get to like what actually has traction, what might actually work. And the goal is that out of this program, each team has some promising ideas that they might be able to then scale and sustain moving forward. And I think ultimately serve as models that other organizations like theirs across the country could learn from. And so you'll get to hear everybody's little bets and stuff in a little bit. As I think was alluded to, teams were supported by a pretty broad staff of experts around the country, as well as local leaders in a bunch of different areas. And each team also had a coach. Jonathan was one of the coaches who you just heard from. But each coach kind of had some specific expertise relevant to the context that the teams are operating in. And then this is who we actually supported. So we had a team from the Impact Academy at Word Tabernacle, Spate Middle School in Wilson County, the Hope Alternative School out of Edgecombe County Public Schools, and then a team made up of the Edgecombe County Courthouse partnered with Greater Coming Ministries. And just a little bit of kind of what the 9 months looked like. Teams participated in 8 half-day convenings once a month, collectively over 54 sessions with their coaches and teams to try to work on these ideas. They interviewed over 30 people that they serve in our community to inform those ideas, brainstormed over 250 possible trauma-informed solutions, and ultimately tested, at this point, 17, but potentially a few more little bets, essentially small pilots of promising solutions. And so out of that, a lot of learning happened, and that's what you'll get to hear about. And so what I'm going to do now is turn it over to the teams so you can hear from them. But just wanted to kind of give a couple of ground rules. We ask that you just stay on mute the entire time so that we can kind of make sure that the teams are able to have a chance to share. They will each present for 5 minutes, and then we'll be asked 1 to 2 questions from the audience. The way this will work is please only use the chat. So if you want to show some love or appreciation, feel free to add it in the chat as teams are going. And if you have any questions for the presenters, please also type those in the chat. And then after each presentation, we'll check it and surface 1 to 2 questions for folks to answer. But like I said, just please stay on mute the whole time so that we can kind of move through the presentations and make sure everyone's heard. And yeah, thanks for doing this with us.
Okay, so now we're going to hear from our teams, and first up is the HOPE program, Mr. Corey Williams.
Hello, everyone. My name is Corey Williams, and I am the coordinator here in Edgecombe County for the HOPE learning program. I'm so excited to be sharing with you our journey along the way in this cohort. Today, I will be sharing 5 key points about our journey, what we do, why it matters, what we've tried, our results, and our next steps. So what we do. Here at Hope, we serve students across the district of Edgecombe County. We have students that we serve that need to recover credit or they need credit to graduate. We also serve students that have behavior needs, also emotional needs. So our goal is to make sure that we service our students and provide them the best educational experience while they're here in Edgecombe County Public Schools. So why does it matter? It matters because we here at Hope, we want to build a safe place where students are able to build skills and have productive lives. Our goal here at Hope is to remove barriers from students and provide them the support they need so that academics will increase, but also their school attendance. And our main goal is to minimize discipline infractions. So during the course of our journey, we did some empathy interviews just to find out how could Hope better serve our students. There were some guiding questions that we came and some insights that we gained from district leaders, community partners, also the students and parents. So on the next couple of slides, I will share some insights and some questions that were raised to find out how the whole program can better serve not only our students, but the community, because we understand that we're a part of the community. One thing, very important thing that we seek to do is to build trust and relationships with our students. One thing we noticed that students often have great relationship with peers their age and adults, but don't necessarily connect with individuals in the school setting. So a question was raised, how might we create a community, more so a culture for students to become more comfortable in the Hope program? A teacher shared this comment, maybe the student doesn't trust me wholeheartedly, they don't know me or the history I have of relationships with past students. This is one of our teachers that does an awesome job with building relationships. So we have a population that is transit. So we get new students each semester and during the semester. So with that being said, there are opportunities where we have time to build great relationships because some students are with us for the duration of the school year. Some students are only here for a semester. Some students are only here for a couple of months. So building those relationships were very important to us. The next insight that we looked at was, providing a positive environment. The question was raised, how might we make Hope more positive environment for our staff and students' well-being? So we did an empathy interview and got some feedback by a district staff member. We need to talk together and let them know we're not here to judge you, we're here to support you. So we want to continue to find ways to support our students. The next insight that we gained was around how could we get rid of the negative perception. So oftentimes students who come to alternative program may be seen and viewed as a behavior problem. Well, one thing that I share with my students when they come in for intake meetings, I assure them that, you have made a mistake, but you're not a mistake. So we try to frame the thinking into to help them understand that everyone makes mistakes, but let's learn from that mistake so we can make better decisions. So the question was raised, well, how might we support adult behaviors to change the perception of the HOPE program? And we saw information from the community. And the comment was made, I wish there was a program after they step out of the HOPE program that could help them. So with these insights, we tried a couple of things. The first thing we wanted to do a little bit was to implement a morning meeting. This is a time that I think is one of the most empowering moments of our day. We allow students to come in after they have breakfast to get settled in, and we do some SEL, some social emotional learning, and also we do mindfulness. And this helps our students to get locked in, as I say, for the day, to get their day started. And we have, since we've been doing and implementing this process, we have seen great changes within our students. So this is one little bit that we implemented within our program. The next little bit is that we understood that, you know, self-worth and self-esteem is really important to our students. And then we asked, how could we support our students within the community? One thing we understand that our students like money, like to make money. So we wanted to create an opportunity for our students to participate in getting some job training skills where they learn how to, you know, fill out an application, do a resume, job interviewing skills, and most of all, how to manage conflict at work. And we had the opportunity to partner with local businesses to hire our students and to help them grow in their job experience. So that was a little bit that we tried as well. The next thing is something that is very dear to my heart. We know that COVID has brought on so many issues within our community. And we know that COVID has impacted all of us. Some people have lost loved ones, and some people have even experienced COVID themselves. So we understood that COVID has played a great deal on our mental health. So with mental health being a very valuable topic to me, I wanted to make sure that I provided our students a chance to be able to talk to someone that could help them get through life's challenges. So we sought out to create a position to find a mental health professional that will come in and service our students here at Hope, because we understand that mental health is a part of our physical health. So these are some of the things that we have done with our program. And the next little bit is that we have been in conversation with Department of DPI and our own central office on how to sustain this position. We're just so grateful that we partner with ROI, and they have helped us pilot this position, and hopefully we want to see it sustained for years to come, so that the students that enter this program can get the services that they need so their mental health is addressed. Also, another little bit that we did is a future project is a photo voice program. You know, students like to take pictures of themselves on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. So we want to give them an opportunity to take pictures and show what is most important to them, and have their story shared through photos, and give them an opportunity to share with others around them their life experience. So to let them know that people do want to know a little about you. So that is another little bit that we put forth in our experience. So our results in this cohort, we received $20,000 in new funding. Hope is building one of the first and only models in the state to build Medicaid for mental health services for the highest need students in the district. I'm excited about that. Decrease in student behavior change and increase in confidence in getting jobs, keeping a job, and solving conflict at work. So we're excited about our results that we have seen by being a part of this cohort. So what are the next steps for Hope? We are working with our central office here in Edgecombe County to sustain the mental health services for our students that are coming in. And also we have a public celebration that will be scheduled with our Photo Voice project, where students can receive affirmation for their photos and the art that they have created. It's important for them to receive praise from their teachers and staff here at Hope and Mr. Williams. It provides a good feeling when they are embraced by the community and feel the love from the community as well and those other stakeholders. Also, to get press coverage of our work and get students employed and get them licensed in areas. We have students that have some great job skills. We have students that attend here that have plumbing skills, mechanic skills. So we seek to build on their strengths. Also, to be a model to other alternative programs across the state and implementing trauma-informed practices. So this is what Hope is about. And I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to be a part of this cohort experience. So thank you all for this time. And I do want to shout out my team, Ms. Crystal Lancaster, Mr. Tremaine Robinson, and definitely last and not least, Ms. Heidi Alston, my coach, for being a great support to us. At this time, if the Hope team, if you all would like to share something, you may do at this time.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone in ROI. I've known this program has had potential for about 5 years now, but I believe that I believe that it's possible and I see it happening. And I think this program has been a part of that. So thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much, FMD. You know, it's not a shout out. But thank you all so much for seeing something in Hope and allowing us to be a part of this program. And to Heidi, you rock.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Hope team. That was awesome and inspiring. Great work. Awesome, awesome, awesome job. Next up, we have the Edgecombe County Courthouse and Greater is Coming Ministries. Ms. Carol White.
Good afternoon, and thank you, ROI, the 2021, the first inaugural cohort, for allowing us this opportunity to be chosen to be a part of the Guiding North Star. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, being part of the community that supports healing from trauma. Thank you for all your hard work. I am Carol Allen White, an elected judicial official elected every 4 years by the voters of Edgecombe County, the North Carolina Clerk of Superior Court ex-officio judge of probate, Edgecombe County, serving my 7th term. My staff and I manage 2 courthouses. One courthouse is located in Tarboro and The second office, the satellite office, is located in Rocky Mount. I'm also the senior pastor and founder, along with my husband, Deacon White, of Greater Is Coming Ministries in 2015, Sharpsburg, North Carolina. Also the founder of It Starts With You, a nonprofit for reentry. My team is Sister Kimberly Harrell, has worked with the judicial branch of government in the North Carolina Clerk of Superior Court for a total of 33 years. 18 years in my office as an assistant clerk of court in the criminal division until her retirement, and 14 and a half years with Halifax County as a deputy clerk. She is the president of It Starts With You, a nonprofit concerned with reentry. She is founding member of Greater Is Coming Ministry. My team, sister, daughter-in-law that truly feels like a daughter to me. She is licensed mental health, and that's Sister Erica. She's a licensed mental health therapist for 3 years, and she's also a founding member of Greater Is Coming Ministry, where she serves as a lead singer with praise and worship. And to our coach, Chuck Price from Wisconsin, who has joined us faithfully by Zoom, including Edgecombe County Courthouse Forum, and coaching us along the way. What do we do? What we do, Greater Is Coming Ministries, our mission as a church that shows the holistic approach, the love of Christ, the heart of God to all people through preaching, teaching, discipleship, evangelism, and outreach ministry, to connect with, to provide information to transformation, from trauma to healing and restoration, returning citizens. What we do, Edgecombe County Courthouse, judicial official, elected official. Our mission is to improve the administration of justice in our courts on fairness and equal access to justice through the task force on ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experience Informed Courts. Why it matters. We interview court employees, church members, pastors, and returning citizens. I was dropped off in the middle of the county with $45, if not for, now this is quoting from a returning citizen. I was dropped off in the middle of the county with $45. If not for transitional housing, I would have nowhere to go. I would have nowhere to go. This is returning citizens. I have family, but they tired of my blowing my chances, so I don't want to ask them for help. This is also a returning citizen. A caseworker, as a caseworker, I provide support to returning citizens, but my caseload is too high that I might only talk to each person once a year. And that comes from a caseworker. Waiting until after release to make a plan is too late. This is also a caseworker. What we tried, our design. How might we compassionately support, build trust to returning citizens to make successful transition and immediately assess their basic needs upon release? As you see our board here, but I will just highlight a few. Active listening to their needs, mentoring, coaching programs upon release, more transitional homes, preparing soft skills, hard skills, ID to employment. Our results, little bits. Hosted 2 community conversations with returning citizens, reentry, council members, transitional house coordinators, and congregation members. 10+ people attending these conversations and expressed interest in creating a support program together. Presented findings on the importance of trauma-informed reentry support at the Courthouse Community Forum. Connected with North Carolina Chief Justice Task Force on ACEs, informed courts to serve as a case study for others to learn from. Next steps. Palette, a trauma-informed prison ministry program where Greater Is Coming Ministry congregation members in partnership with other stakeholders that would meet with soon-to-be released returning citizens to support them with making a plan to assess basic needs and resources upon release, including housing. Our goal is to use research data on returning citizens, improve long-term stability in housing and employment for returning citizens. Our children need fathers and mothers, and fathers and mothers need our children. To do this, we are seeking. Going deeper is challenging. Putting it mildly, the 8th convenient. Number 8 means new beginnings, and this project has taken us 9 months. One of my team members said just a couple of days ago, as we looked over our assignment, it is finished. And I told her that is what Jesus said on the cross. 9 means new beginnings. To do this, we are seeking resilient, committed people for our rural community, partnership with judicial, faith-based, and community, wraparound services, connection to a local prison that is interested and welcome our volunteers to meet with returning citizens, experts on reentry planning to train, support our volunteers, local community members' interest in volunteering for our ministry, seeking grant funding, seeking staff, recognize that one size does not fit all. There is no one program that works for every returning citizen. Again, I thank you so very much, and thank you all for allowing me to serve here and to be one of the ones that was chosen to be the first cohort. And thank you to Vinci, to Seth, and to the staff for helping me to go deeper. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Carroll. Thank you, thank you. That was wonderful. Amazing work. And we're going to keep it going. Next
Yes.
up, we have Spate Middle School Principal, Ms. Valerie Budd.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to share with you some of the things that happened with us in this wonderful opportunity. We are Spate Middle School. Our team is myself, Valerie Budd. I'm the principal of our school. We have Ms. Rashana Holmes, who is our phenomenal guidance counselor. And we have Mr. Stephen Sutton, one of a kind, exceptional children's teacher. We've had a wonderful journey with this program. We're going to share a little bit about ourselves. And at this time, I will give it over to Mr. Sutton, who helped tell us a little bit about our story. Mr. Sutton.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I've enjoyed the whole journey so far. What my motivation is just always to help those in need and to never grow weary of helping others, never grow weary of doing good. But I would say that when we started this a couple of years ago, but before we started this a couple of years ago, a student came to me, a Hispanic student, who he came to me with a learning disability and that affected reading and math. But he also, I don't really see those disabilities. I still don't. Most of the time, it's probably because I'm nearsighted or farsighted. I just don't see that. I see potential. But one of the assignments I did was to allow the students to talk about, go anywhere they could and write or draw a picture about going anywhere they would want to go, their dream, whatever their dream was, they could write it or draw it, and to, if they had a hero, who would their hero be? And so this young man said that he would go to his father, and he would go to his father in Mexico. That was his dream. And so when I read that, I asked him to write, about their hero, and he wrote about his father, and he wrote that his father had been taken from his home by law enforcement when he was in, I believe, the 5th grade, and so he wasn't able to see him anymore, and that was his hero. And so I stopped the rest of the class, because I think he was used to people just looking at that and moving on to the next thing that we had to do. And I said, maybe you'd like to tell me a little more about your hero. And he fell all to pieces and had a profound breakdown in front of me. And so I cleared out the rest of my students, and I took him. First of all, I don't like I don't ever like to, me and touching, I don't always go, but first I gave him a hug, and then I took him to see the counselor. And just that experience for that young man changed his behavior in front of my eyes. He was, he began to trust that what I was doing was helping him. And he also began to lose a lot of the negative behaviors. Now, I still see this young man every day, but to see the impact that just the removal, and not just the removal, but to see the impact that the removal of his father had on his behavior and his life was life-changing for me at that time. And so I began to look more into how we could help students, especially Latinx students who had lost a parent, and but because of no fault of their own. And so I think Ms. Holmes is going to speak next.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Ms. Holmes.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I apologize, first of all, because my camera is not working, so I do apologize for that. As Mr. Sutton says, we have these last couple of months, we have really been digging in and looking at the needs of our Hispanic population, and we've started to look at our data. Now, we look at our data and our our school makeup every year, and consistently, what we have found over time, I'll say over the last 7-8 years, is that our population has been historically about 40% Caucasian, 40% Black African American, and about between 20 to 25% Hispanic Latino. We actually started to dig into our numbers, and we've been noticing a demographic change. Just from our work and what we were seeing in the mental health needs of the students, we saw more and more need. We went and looked at our numbers, and our most accurate numbers from this school year, actually, and we saw that now our Latinx population makes up 40% of our students. They are the majority of the students at this school. Our largest subgroup are Hispanic females. So we recognize that there was a demographic change in our school and that we needed to address it. We actually did not realize how quickly it had occurred until we actually looked at the numbers and saw just in the past year that our population has completely changed to what this community and what this school has been used to through, it's been here since it's been a middle school since the 1970s. And they do have unique situations. Mr. Sutton talked about the forced removal. We are seeing more of the mental health challenges that our students have faced as well. We've seen a great deal of it, and we've had difficulty finding mental health resources for those students. So I'm going to turn it back to over to Ms. Budd so she can tell you about what we did to discuss these situations with our community.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Holmes. In looking at our population and looking at the needs of our students, we thought that we would have a small bit and have a focus group, have some of our Latinx students and parents and community members to come together with us and just talk about what are some things, how might Spate Middle School support our Latinx learners to cope with trauma and experience more success in school. We had a good group of educators to participate, some community members who also represent the Latinx community came, and we had attendance from school and district leaders, a parent and student, and we use a Zoom format, which we know would limit the number or the access because all of our families may not have been as comfortable with that format. And it was very interesting to hear. The families were very happy to have even had someone to ask them what they thought. We did do, as some of the other groups have spoken about, and we did the empathy interviews, which were amazing, coming off of students not being in school. One thing that we continued to hear from our parents was that they were thankful for our school. They felt like they knew what was going on in our school and that the school was communicating with them. We learned that our Latinx population is increasing in terms of student demographics, which also sustains a need for support Approaching trauma and its effects on students and families in our community is not something that can be handled in isolation. We know that all of our families are dealing with COVID. We know that many of our families deal with poverty. And then we have this whole language barrier. We have teachers in our building who help us to translate for our Latinx families. We make sure when we have IEP meetings, when we have parent conferences, even if I need to make a phone call to our parents, that we have someone that can translate, because we really want our parents to understand that we want to be able to communicate with them effectively. One idea is to survey the students and host a meeting in person with the results of our first survey. We did create that survey, and we would really like to be able to meet face-to-face with our parents and to be able to host them. We would like to increase our Latinx community's access to support resources for mental health, and also the emotional well-being to instructional resources. We know that behavior is impacted by mental health. We know that there are so many things, and as we look at our data for discipline, much of that goes back to mental health needs. So at Spade, we work so hard, one child at a time, one family at a time, to make room for everyone, as Mr. Santos Silva said. And we understand that everyone is important in our building, and it's important for us to communicate that to our parents. So we're really looking forward to embracing our Latinx community even more, as well as the other minorities in our school. So this is Spade Middle School. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bud. And next up, we have Word Tabernacle Church, the Impact Academy. Mr. Kyle.
Hello, 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 everybody. My name is Kyle Johnson, and I am the executive pastor at Word Tabernacle Church. And I'm also the programming director for the Impact Academy. And I am very excited to share with you all the things that we have going on. So we have had an amazing team. Our team consists of Tevin Boykin. He is our director of operations here at the Impact Academy. We have Emily Headings, who is our director of family and teacher empowerment. We also had over time some different shifts within the program who participated in our Rural Opportunity Institute's experience, because our academy is brand new. And so we've been in this program for 9 months, but the academy actually started and opened up in August. And so a part of Word Tabernacle's entire philosophy, our vision is that everyone is thriving. And so we have in the Impact Center, different centers that function out of the one building, including Word Tabernacle Church. We function out of the Impact Center. A part of our goal as a church and as an organization to make sure that everyone is thriving includes making sure that education is key. And so we are a church, and we are firm believers that as a church that redemption, restoration, and that Jesus saves, but we also realize that education, as our pastor says, education is a type of salvation. And so we want to make sure that while we are prepared for heaven, that we're able to thrive while on earth. And that starts with some foundational dynamics. And so one of the struggles of our Eastern North Carolina regional experience here is that our educational struggles with the early childhood development. There are not that many childcare centers in the region. And so we want to help close the gap to make sure that students and families, when they get into the educational system, they are well prepared across the board, not just in Eastern North Carolina, not just in the Twin Counties, but across the state and across our nation. We have some struggles, and we have been doing research to figure out how do we help close those gaps and satisfy those needs so that children can begin to thrive. Okay, and so our journey started off as what is possible, what is possible, and Rural Opportunity has really helped us see what is possible and plan ahead. And so I'll just read this. We joined this program because we believe in restorative and not punitive responses. I have a strong village of educators, and many of whom are on the call. I see you up there, Jamila. And so I also came out of Edgecombe County's, I was a teacher at Edgecombe County. And so knowing and understanding that the typical responses that we are trained in our society to do, you did something, there's punitive, there's punishment, is not effective in long-term development. So we believe in restoration, we believe in grace, and believe in helping people get to where they need to be. And so what we decided to do as an organization is we start off with empathy interviews, which were hugely important because we figured if we're going to start a preschool to help close this gap, this learning gap and to get kids ready for the big launch into the school system and on their journey in education, we want to make sure that we're not just replicating what's already there, but we also want to create an ideal circumstances situation. And so in doing so, with these empathy interviews that we did, we figured out that families wanted places for their kids to be safe and to learn and to love, but we also wanted places where students are challenged and that they're learning. A lot of times they felt like kids were going to places and being cared for, but not being taught. Some families felt like their kids were being taught, but not being cared for, and they weren't having a good time. And so essentially we developed a program that we are hoping and are constantly growing and changing that is ideal for all parties, because it is all about the kids. But if the teachers aren't at peace and the teachers don't understand, then how can the kids learn well? And so we did lots of different things. And interestingly enough, as we did our little bets and as we leaned into the resilient skills and as we leaned into restorative things, we learned more and more that the teachers had just as much trauma coming into the space as we think the kids might have to deal with. And so while we were teaching the children the little bets of resilient skills, we were also teaching our staff that. And as directors, a team of directors with me, Emily, Tevin, and Sharonda, we also realized that while we have this vision of partnership, we have this vision of we're going to have competitive pay for teachers because teachers said that's what they wanted. They wanted autonomy and input. Teachers said they want that. So, hey, teachers, you get to decide what the vacation days are. You get to decide what curriculum we're going through. Families, what do you want this to be? So we're all as a team, as a village, developing this program. But as we've been going through this, we're realizing that we need to process through some of these same things as the students. And so one of our little bets is teaching and going through those 18 resilient skills and those 10 evidence-based breathing techniques. And I remember when one of the kids came in and they were crying. It was actually one of our staff members, her daughter. She was crying. She was having a hard time. And I remember watch my hand, focus on my hand, breathe in, breathe out. And the teacher, who had 25 years experience, said, how did you just get her to go from crying to being perfectly good in playing? And I was like, resiliency training, right? And so thanks to Rural Opportunity Institute, not just this program, but also resiliency training that I did in the past with them. So we did these little bets where we taught that. And shout out to these photos. That's my daughter. I think she's adorable. If you agree, you can put that in the chat. But we went through these resiliency trainings and these 10 evidence-based breathing techniques to help regulate, to help make sure that our students and our teachers and our team is able to communicate well and not to communicate in our danger zones, but instead in our zones that we are resilient zones. And so we did this in a couple of different ways. We decided, hey, we're going to do meal kits. And so I'm going to put into the chat a link to our family empowerment page that we have on our website. And on our family empowerment page, we have this thing called family meal kits. And in our family meal kits, families had everything that they needed. We start off with a cookie kit. They had everything they needed in terms to our nutrition director. She cooked cookies. She made them fresh. We had homemade icing, sprinkles, all that stuff. They got a bag with a kid's name on it, a resiliency tool. It was actually that tap side to side that we started off with today. Resiliency tool. They say, hey, take pictures. Let us see what you did at home. And they also did a survey to get us feedback on how to develop things. And so that was a really little bit. Our goal is family engagement interaction. Long-term, we're going to start introducing nutritional things that they can do as a family. And we're even going to partner with our local farmers market, Kanita Family Life Center, to get vegetables. We'll have our kids planting the seeds, growing the food that they then prepare with their families at home. So they're creating identity with their families while also learning skill sets, while also making sure that they feel safe. And in addition to that, they're practicing the things we're doing at the school at home. Because one of the struggles is, I'm sure some educators in the room can agree, if you teach kids don't hit at school, but the parent says hit that kid back, there's going to be some really big disconnects. And so we want to make sure that the bridge is created between school and home and the empowerment happens well. All right. So that was one of our little bets that we did. Now, this is a huge thing. And if you are not aware of this, I encourage you. We have it on our website. All right. But it's also here. We have it on our website. This reason, relate, regulate has changed everything about how I engage, because I had to become more aware, just like in our early childhood experiences, a kid comes crying and then we can't just say, hey, stop and let me reason with you. We have to get them to a point of regulating themselves. Their blood pressure is high, the tears are crying, they're hyperventilating, and we've been in those spaces. And we know If somebody comes to talk to us while we're hungry, sleepy, or angry, they probably will not get the best response from us. And so we took that understanding and we made that into a part of our little bit to say, hey, let's regulate. Let's figure out how do we help children become aware of what they're feeling and why they're feeling it, connect with them, and then we can reason to help them make the best decisions, communicate in the best possible way. It's hard to try to talk to a child when there's tears flowing down their faces, snot coming out their nose, and they're hyperventilating. In the same way that it's difficult to reason with a staff member who may be frustrated, who doesn't feel heard, and try to give them reason without first helping them regulate and relate to them, because we all experience those same things and then reason. And one of the things I would give a shout out to Rural Opportunity Institute when we had some struggles, because it's a brand new program and we were 3 months in. I said, I don't see it happening. The vision is not coming. And Seth said, hey, you're 3 months in. This type of conflict is absolutely normal. Stay true to the stuff. And we did, and we're seeing phenomenal results because of it. All right. And so another thing that we're doing with the 3 R's, we talked about with our EF Go. That's another little bit that we're doing. And so that is a part of the website as well. And again, I'm going to send you a direct link to the website that we have with EF Go. One of our goals is to make sure that families understand exactly what children are going through, equipping teachers with new techniques, but then also making sure that we're not just showing up to do stuff, but that we have data-backed research and data-backed practices that actually develop our children. And so we have so many different types of things going on, but everything that we do, we have a philosophy of we show our hands. So we're not trying to promote anything that we're not actually doing. And we also want to make sure that we are we're not playing poker with people, not trying to say, I'm going to do this and not do this. We're showing everything. And so our website is jam-packed of these things. But the reason why we also put on our website is not just for our families to know, but also that this is now accessible to the entire community. And so on our website, we have some of the details and information about the executive function, which was in the last link that I sent to you. It's also some information on things that families can do at home. And once we get this data, and once we go through this process, Emily is heading this dynamic up. And we did not have Emily on staff as a director of family empowerment. But as we started to go through the program, we realized that a position is needed for that. And so we brought that in. Our goal is to make sure that we are taking trauma-informed practices, our little bets, and really implementing this and doing it consistently and doing it well in our preschool. The kids will have fun. They have a blast. They eat well and they have a safe environment. They are learning. Our goal is to pursue progress, but we don't want to pursue progress in view of what we think progress is. And we don't want to pursue progress while ignoring the trauma that the children may have experienced. We want to help them avoid that trauma by being able to self-regulate, understand themselves, and to navigate life. And we're doing the same thing with our teachers. And so it has been an interesting journey and it's been really, really good. But because of the things that we've learned through Rural Opportunity Institute, all of those skill sets, all of those, the ways that we talk and engage with each other and understanding self, we've been able not only to set up a preschool that meets the needs of helping people thrive, but we've also been able to readjust when needed. And we've learned that taking little bets is okay, because when we take little bets, we can succeed, we can fail, we can adjust, and we can try again, because failure is not defeat. It just means that that try didn't work, but we don't ever have to stop trying. And so this has been a really, really great experience, but the foundation of all that we've done has been through this 9-month program, which has been really, really awesome. And these convenings have been extremely helpful. And all of the coaches and all of the people who've invested us, we see the results of going from an idea of what a preschool could be to actually seeing this done and seeing it in action. And again, I would say the foundation for us, we thought would be really much like the structure of the program, but we've taken all these little bits and they've been most effective by taking those skill sets and teaching it to our teachers as we engage as a staff, and then they take it and teach it to our children, and we also take it and teach it to the families. And so that is the Impact Academy. And I'm super excited and so thankful for all of this. And I'm going to put our general website in the chat so you all can go through, check things out. There's so much. It's the impactacademywtc.com. So you can check it out at any point, everything from stages of development to skill sets to our family empowerment, and how anyone in the community, they do not have to be enrolled at the Impact Academy, can benefit from them.
Thank you so much, Kyle. And thank you, everybody. That was just amazing. Really glad that people on the call get the chance to see the great work that different leaders from church and faith setting to the courthouse to alternative school to a traditional school, how trauma-informed practices can show up in these different spaces. So in closing, really exciting news. The fun does not end here. There will be a whole second cohort of the Resilient Leaders Initiative next year. And so if you know any organization that is based in Edgecombe County or serves families or people in Edgecombe County, they're eligible to apply. We'll make sure to email all this information out after the call, and we'll include a video recording. But please direct them to our website. They can go to ruralopportunity.org/leaders or ruralopportunity.org/interest form to actually submit a 3-question interest form to be in cohort 2. And the deadline to apply is December 15th. So we're about a month out. So please help us spread the word. People have been really happy so far. The leaders you heard from today and the team members, here's some of the data around people feeling like they really built more skills and advanced racial equity and trauma-informed practices in their organization. So we'd love to continue to build similar cohorts to this. And on the website, there's a 2-pager with information that you can use to help recruit other organizations to the program. Again, you can go to ruralopportunity.org to sign up for any email newsletters. And shout out to Tyra, the local program manager. If you would like to have a speaker, any of the amazing certified resilience trainers, go to ruralopportunity.org/speaker. And just a huge thank you to everyone for joining. Participants in the program and team members, please stick around. And to our guests, thank you so much for attending today. And to all the supporters and everyone, saw the community board members, Yolanda and Byron on the call. Just thank you everyone for making it happen. And we'll have more to share soon. Thank you so much.